Nice to have another catch up with you. Just a few hours away now from your big kick-off. How's things been going since we last spoke to you earlier in the week?
Eventful. I think that's probably the best way to describe it.
In terms of eventful, can you elaborate a little bit more on that, or what can you say?
No, not really. Not really. It'll all come out in the wash.
In terms of new players, has that got any momentum? Has anything developed since that? Obviously, as you say, you're on the phone more or less than on the training ground. Yeah,
look, we're still working extremely hard and we're hopeful. Whether we'll get done in time for tomorrow remains to be seen. But like I say, we're hopeful.
Well, all those players that you've been working with, how do you think they are now coming together in terms of, not far from the kick-off?
Listen, the group's been together for a long time, so, they don't need that much work, the main bit of the group. We've got some integration to do and what have you like that, but, for me, it's about just keep improving them, keep, making them better. And that's been the aim throughout pre-season, improving on last year, and hopefully, I think a lot of people put the first game of every season on a pedestal, but it's the same as another 45 of them. It gives you a very, very early indication, but as I said last year, and as I've said every year, it's not until 10 games in that you sort of get a good feel of where you're at. And this is 1/10 of that process. So, we'll see how we get on tomorrow, and we'll, against the Cheltenham team that I watched last week. I've seen Michael's press conference from yesterday, and he said, "I'm not sure Crew will surprise us." And then he also said that he didn't think they'd surprise us, and I concur with his thoughts. So we know what we're coming up against. We've played them regularly over the last 3 or 4 years, and they've played us regularly. So, it's going to be a good game, and we'll see where we're at.
What's your overall thoughts on those opening few games for you then? When you looked at it last year, when you came up out of League Two, you knew you were in for a tough test, but you actually competed well against a lot of those good teams, even though you didn't get the amount of points you deserve. So what's your view on the opening fixtures this time for your team?
I think it's not an easy start, but then I go, well, we've got to play everyone, so might as well just get on with it. It is the old cliche of taking every game as it comes, and whatever happens in the first few games, we've got to make sure we're on the money, that's for sure, because you've got to be on the money in every game in this league.
What's that big thing that you want to see improve from how well you did, how encouraging it was, what you're aiming for that you want to get better?
I want to see more goals, more wins, we were consistently inconsistent last year. So in one game we'd concede stupid goals, on the other next game we'd keep a clean sheet, next game we wouldn't score, then we'd score 3. And we've got to find far more consistency across our performances from one game to the next. And actually in games, it was up and down in games at times, or for a fair number of games. So we know when we play well, we're one of the best, if not the best team in the league. Now, did we show that often enough in games and, repeated games? No, we didn't. That's why we finished bang in the middle of the table. But it also showed, it showed exactly where we were, because some games we were well beaten and some games we were duffers. So we've got to make sure we bring our good game, our best game more often. That's the key.
I suppose the one thing you could do with getting rid of, like the whole country could, that COVID situation has certainly hindered you, hasn't it, in the last few weeks and right up towards kick-off time?
Yeah, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. I think every club in the country will be affected. And we've been no different, thankfully. we're not affected today, but then you don't know tomorrow. So each day, with the daily tests that we do, then you never know. But everyone's in that boat, and I just go, well, that's it. That's just a thing that you have to get used to, and we are used to. And if something happens, then you have to take remedial action as quick as you can to make sure the damage doesn't spread. So, that's just another consideration that comes into the thinking, really.
When you come into the opening game and you're talking about your testing and your fitness, how fit are the players to go into League One? Do you expect it to still take 3, 4, 5, 6 games to get right up to speed, or are you expecting them to be there tomorrow?
I think you've got to have fitness throughout the year now as a footballer. That's for sure. You can't tailor off. You can taper slightly, but you can't tailor off like they did when I was, a young pup. So straight away there's already that acceptable level of fitness, but then the sharpness, and I think one of the things that you can't really get, even in pre-season when you are playing Saturday, Tuesday, you can't really get that incessant drag it out of your level of fitness. When you've played Saturday, Tuesday, and you've done 90, and you go into another Saturday game and you go, right, I've got another 90, got to get another 90. That does take time, because I'd be very surprised if any player up and down the country has played 90 minutes in 3 weeks in pre-season. So there's that element, but other than that, you go, well, you've got to be sharp. You've got to be sharp in your mind. You've got to be sharp in your body, and if you are, then you've got a chance. You're not going to, the opposition aren't going to get one up on you on that score, and that's important. So we'll find out, over the next few weeks.
Well, whatever you do send out, it's that challenge again, isn't it? That's what it is for every player, whether it be in the first 11, on the bench, or waiting to get in the match day squad. There's always a challenge that lies ahead.
Yeah, look, I know if I were a player in our squad, I'd be going, right, I'm going to be ready whenever the gaffer needs me. Because the likelihood is, with COVID and us not having, the biggest squad, then you're going to be needed at some point, and they've got to be ready. And if they're ready, then they've got a chance.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks for talking to us, and all the best, mate.
Thank you very much.
Come on.
All right.
Thanks.